She didn't just lecture my daughter. She slapped plastic cuffs on her wrists, shoved her in the back of a patrol car, and sneered, "You'll learn respect in this neighborhood." My 14-year-old was crying uncontrollably, wrists rubbed raw by zip ties, all because she rode her bike too close to Karen's immaculate lawn. By the time my phone rang, my wife, the highest-ranking female police captain in the city, was already en route, lights blazing, uniform crisp. What followed wasn't quiet. Cameras came out, neighbors shouted, and Karen had no clue who she just picked a fight with. I heard the scream before I saw anything, a sharp, panic sound that ripped through the calm afternoon like shrapnel. I dropped my wrench mid-oil change and ran across the driveway, grease streaking my hands. That scream was my daughter's, Mia's. She stood barefoot on the pavement, still in her school shorts, wrists bound behind her with the same plastic restraints used on suspects. Towering over her like some self-appointed enforcer was Karen Wilshire, president of the Hollow Creek HOA. Her tight red blouse strained at the buttons, hair frozen in that salon-perfect helmet, eyes blazing as if she caught a criminal hiding in her azaleas. "You don't respect boundaries, young lady," Karen snapped. That bike tire left marks on my Bermuda grass again. Mia shook, tried to explain. I was just cutting through to get home from practice. I didn't. "Silence," Karen barked. Then she turned to the jittery off-duty cop beside her, some renter she'd likely authorized with HOA money. "Put her in the car. She can sit there until her parents learn to control her." I stood frozen, not scared, just stunned. My daughter, honor student, asthmatic, terrified of thunderstorms, was being treated like a criminal over a patch of grass. The officer hesitated, eyes flicking toward me. Karen stepped in front of him, chin jutting forward like a warship's bow. "This is my jurisdiction," she hissed. "Code Section 12B. Trespassing via unauthorized wheel conveyance." I stepped forward. "Take those ties off her. Now." Karen turned, smirking. "Oh, Dad's here. Cute. Want to file a complaint? Go ahead. Mail it to the board. Processing fees $75. Mia's eyes met mine, wide, wet, humiliated. That's when my phone buzzed. A text from my wife. "Just got a dispatch call about a minor in custody at Hollow Creek. You involved?" I looked back at Karen, who was adjusting her blouse, sweat glistening above her cleavage, and then I smiled. My wife doesn't make courtesy calls when she says she's on her way. Engines roar and radios light up across the city. Standing there in oil-stained jeans, my daughter sobbing in zip ties, I didn't have time to educate Karen's ego. I held up my phone. "Captain Reyes is inbound. You might want to rethink this little HOA jailbreak." Karen scoffed, tugging the neckline of that red blouse as she crossed her arms. "Oh, I know exactly who your wife is. That doesn't give you a pass. Rules apply to everyone." She turned to the off-duty cop, some kid barely older than Mia. "Put her in the car. Now." He shuffled forward, eyes down, and opened the back door of the unmarked sedan parked crookedly across two visitor spots. Mia flinched as he guided her inside. She didn't resist. She never does. Years of asthma taught her to conserve breath, not waste it on panic. But I saw her shoulders hunch, the quiet signal that her inhaler was still in her backpack, abandoned by the curb. I took 2 long strides toward the car. "Touch her again, and you're obstructing a minor's medical access. That's state law, Karen, not your little garden club bylaws." "She's fine," Karen snapped, fanning herself with an HOA violation slip like it was a royal decree. Frankly, a little discomfort might teach her respect. Then I heard it, a distant growl cutting through the suburb stillness. Not a siren, not yet, just a deep, unmistakable rumble of AV8 pushing hard down the cul-de-sac. Every head turned. At the far end of the street, dust billowed behind a blacked-out Ford Interceptor. City plates. Light barred dark, but ready. My wife didn't drive it often, but when she did, it meant something was about to end badly for someone. No lights, no announcement, just authority rolling in like a storm front. Karen squinted. "Is that?" The cruiser stopped 10 feet away, gravel crunching. The door opened. Black duty boots hit the pavement. followed by the rest of her. Captain Elena Reyes. Full uniform, gold bars gleaming, expression colder than winter steel. She didn't look at Karen. Not yet. Her eyes went straight to Mia through the rear window, took in the zip ties, the tear-streaked face, the shallow, rapid breathing. Then she looked at me. One word. Quiet. Lethal. Explain. Elena never raises her voice. That's what makes her terrifying. She assessed the scene the way a surgeon spots infection before pain sets in. I kept my voice steady. Mia cut across Karen's lawn coming home from track. Karen called this guy. I nodded toward the off-duty officer. Had her zip-tied and detained. No Miranda. No lawful cause. Elena's jaw tightened. She walked past me and stopped inches from Karen, who suddenly seemed several inches shorter. Ma'am, Elena said, tone crisp as pressed starch. Are you a sworn law enforcement officer? Karen puffed up. I'm president of the Hollow Creek Homeowners Association, and I have full authority. Answer the question. Elena's voice dropped like an anchor. No, Karen muttered. Then why? Elena continued, stepping closer. Is a civilian unlawfully detaining a minor? Under what statute? Karen's fingers fluttered to her blouse, tugging the neckline higher. She damaged my property. We have rules. Rules do not grant arrest powers. Elena turned to the off-duty officer. Badge number. He stammered it out, pale as copy paper. Elena keyed her shoulder mic. Dispatch. Run that number. Send a unit for unlawful detention and a minor in medical distress. Possible reckless endangerment. Karen's eyes went wide. You can't be serious. This is my neighborhood. It's everyone's neighborhood, Elena said. Then she turned, opened the patrol car door, and gently cupped Mia's face. Breathe, Mija. You're safe. Mia gasped. Inhaler in my bag. Elena nodded, reached for the backpack, and Elena handed her the inhaler. As Mia took 2 careful puffs, slow and measured, Elena's eyes lifted to Karen, who was now filming on her phone, muttering about abuse of power. That's when the real sirens tore through the air. Not 1, 3. 2 marked cruisers skidded to a stop behind Elena's vehicle, tires screaming. Doors flew open. Officers stepped out, hands resting on their belts, eyes sweeping the scene. Karen froze mid-recording. Elena turned, unhurried. You want an audience, Karen? She said evenly. You've got 1. Her radio crackled through the sudden silence. Captain Reyes, be advised. Karen Wilshire has 3 prior complaints for harassment, 1 for impersonating an officer. She is not certified for any community patrol role. Elena's mouth curved, just barely. Good to know. The air thickened, summer heat mixed with dread. Neighbors who'd been hiding behind blinds drifted onto porches now, phones raised, whispers spreading. This wasn't HOA theatrics anymore. This was something else. Elena didn't gloat. She walked back to Karen, hands clasped behind her back, inspecting her the way a city official inspects a broken hydrant. You've impersonated law enforcement before? She asked, calm but sharp as broken glass. Karen's confidence cracked. I never impersonated anyone. I enforce covenants. Wearing a reflective vest marked security, Elena replied, threatening kids with plate checks. Telling my husband last year you'd cite him for mailbox height, like it was a criminal violation. Elena raised an eyebrow. That's not enforcement, Karen. That's intimidation. Karen opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Her phone shook in her hand. One of the responding officers stepped forward. Ma'am, we need you to surrender that recording. It's evidence. What? No. Karen snapped, shoving the phone into her back pocket. It's my property. Elena didn't argue. She nodded once. The officer retrieved it. Firm, controlled. Karen sputtered, her face turning the same deep red as her blouse, now darkened with sweat and riding high on her stomach. Then Mia spoke in the back seat, quiet but unmistakable. She said I'd learned respect in the back seat. Every adult within earshot went still. Elena turned slowly, eyes locking on the off-duty officer. Did you hear her say that? He swallowed. Yes, ma'am. And you didn't intervene. I thought she had authority. No sworn officer believes a civilian has arrest powers, Elena said flatly. You're suspended pending internal review. Turn in your weapon and badge. The young man sagged as another officer guided him away. Karen finally snapped. This is ridiculous. I was protecting property values. You people roll in here with your fancy cars. I stepped beside Elena. I drive a 10-year-old truck. I change my own oil. But thanks to the racial dog whistle wrapped in subdivision language. Karen flinched because I'd said it out loud. Elena leaned in, voice low enough for only Karen and me. Next time you put hands on a child without cause, you won't just lose your HOA title. You'll lose your freedom. Her radio chirped again. Captain, HOA insurance policy confirmed. Detainment is explicitly prohibited. Coverage was voided the moment restraints were applied. Karen's mouth fell open. Elena smiled, not cruel, just precise. You're personally liable now, Karen. The word liable hung there like smoke after a gunshot. Karen's face drained of color in seconds. She looked at her driveway, her spotless Lexus, the decorative mailbox she bragged about, the Hollow Creek sign she personally approved. She looked like she might be sick. Elena didn't pause. You detained a minor without authority, used restraints that broke skin, and denied medical access. That's criminal recklessness. An officer knelt by Mia, examining her wrists. Superficial abrasions. Raw. Will document. I knelt beside my daughter, brushing hair from her forehead. You okay, bug? She nodded. Just shaky. Adrenaline, Elena said softly. And humiliation. That part's on her. She nodded toward Karen, now pacing her driveway, whispering furiously into her phone. Across the street, Mrs. Langston, retired teacher, 32 years in this neighborhood, stepped forward holding a tray of lemonade. Y'all look like you need sugar, she said kindly. Then, sharper, that woman's been in trouble since she bought the Henderson place. Tried to find me for dandelions. Murmurs followed. A man stepped up. She fined my grandson for skateboarding on his own driveway. Said it was excessive noise after 4. Elena nodded. File complaints. All of you. Today. Karen spun around. You're ganging up on me. This is harassment. No, Elena replied coolly. This is accountability. You built power from fear and paperwork. You just forgot something. What? Karen snapped. You don't own the law. Elena turned. Get witness statements. And call CPS. Not for us, for her. Karen gasped. I have rights. You do, Elena said, but not the right to play cop with zip ties. Then Mia whispered, barely audible. She called me trash when she pushed me. The street went silent. Elena closed her eyes for half a breath. When she opened them, her voice was velvet-wrapped ice. Add hate speech to the report. Karen's knees buckled. Until then, she'd been all bluster, red blouse, clipboard authority. But at that word, something colder surfaced. She backed toward her house. You don't know anything about me. Elena didn't let her retreat. We're about to. The front door creaked open. A boy, maybe 12, thin, hoodie pulled up despite the heat, stepped onto the porch. His eyes darted between the cruisers and Mia. He looked terrified. Go inside, Jason, Karen snapped. He didn't. He stared at Mia's wrists. Mom, he said, voice shaking, you didn't tell me she was asthmatic. Karen froze. You knew, he whispered. You saw her gasping. The street held its breath. Elena stepped closer. Jason, does your mom do this at home too? Karen lunged. Don't question my parenting. Jason didn't move. I'm sorry, he said to Mia. She does this when people don't listen. Mia gave a small nod. Not forgiveness. Recognition. Elena's radio hissed. Captain, CPS en route. Juvenile records show Karen's son hospitalized 2 years ago for anxiety-induced respiratory distress. Reactive airway disease. My stomach dropped. She hadn't ignored asthma. She recognized it. Elena whispered, You used your own son's condition against another child. Karen broke. Not with guilt, but fury. This place was perfect before people like you moved in. No, Elena said quietly. You ruined it. The CPS sedan rolled up. Jason didn't go inside. He walked past his mother and stood beside Mia's open door, small, shaking, eyes on the ground. He didn't say another word, like he was bracing for a lightning strike. But the choice itself thundered louder than any confession. A kid choosing truth over obedience, safety over silence. Elena moved toward him slowly and crouched so she wasn't looming. You don't have to talk if you're not ready, she said softly. But if you ever want to any time, day or night, you call this number. She slipped him a card with the precinct's youth liaison line. Karen watched from her porch, arms wrapped around her torso like she was holding herself together. Jason Michael Wilshire, get back in this house right now. He didn't budge. One of the CPS workers, a calm black woman in a linen blazer, stepped forward. Ma'am, we need to speak with your son privately. Standard protocol when a minor reports potential emotional endangerment. You can't just, Karen started. I can, the woman replied, firm but composed. And I will. Neighbors weren't whispering now. They were witnessing. Mrs. Langston handed Jason a glass of lemonade, too. He accepted it with trembling hands, eyes never lifting toward his mother. Elena turned to me. Get me a home. EMT check. Lawyer on standby. We're pressing charges. I nodded and helped me out of the car. She moved carefully, but when she passed Jason, she reached out and squeezed his arm. Just a second. He startled, then relaxed, like a fist finally unclenching after years. Karen was unraveling. She paced her driveway, phone glued to her ear. No, I told you they're weaponizing this. That cop's married to him. It's a setup. Elena overheard. She walked over, not angry. Finished. You really think a police captain needs to frame you to make you look like this? She asked. You manage that on your own. Karen opened her mouth, closed it. Her gaze slid past the cruisers, past the neighbors, down the street. A silver sedan rolled to a stop. A man stepped out in a wrinkled suit, tie loose, eyes hollow with exhaustion. Karen's breath hitched. Phil, she whispered. The man, her ex-husband, I'd learned, looked at Jason, then the police, then Karen. CPS called, he said, voice raw. They said you handcuffed a kid, like when you used to lock Jason in his room for attitude violations. Karen's face collapsed. Phil crossed the driveway and knelt. You okay, buddy? Jason nodded, then buried his face in his dad's shoulder. Karen stood alone on her pristine concrete, red blouse soaked through, HOA clipboard dangling like something dead. No one moved to her side. Phil didn't shout. He just held his son like he was afraid he'd disappear. The kind of embrace that says, I failed you, but I'm here now. Then he stood and faced Elena. Phil Wilshire, Jason's father. Until 6 months ago, her husband. He nodded toward Karen. Elena shook his hand. Captain Reyes. I filed for full custody last year. Karen snapped, voice shrill. The judge said he lacked consistency. Now he's using this to steal my son. Phil didn't flinch. I left because you turned our home into a prison. For Jason. For me, you time my showers. Recorded conversations. Find me for coffee mugs. A ripple moved through the crowd. Even officers exchanged looks. Phil walked his car, opened the trunk, and pulled out a plastic bin labeled HOA violations, 2020 to 2025. It bulged with folders, printouts, stills, a small recorder. I kept everything, he said quietly, because I knew someday you'd go too far. He handed it to Elena. Page 47, audio threatening the Green family over a Navy door. Page 82, photos of her spray painting a violation on a teen skateboard. Page 103, the night she locked Jason in his room for 3 hours during a storm. She recorded it. Karen staggered. You stole my files. I copied them, Phil said, before I left, because I love my son more than I feared you. Elena skimmed the contents, then looked to CPS. This changes everything. Karen's front collapsed. The clipboard fell, clattering on asphalt like a marker dropped a grave. I was just keeping standards, she whispered. No, Phil said thickly. You were controlling everything because you couldn't control yourself. Jason spoke, still clinging to his dad. She said my asthma made me weak. Mia leaned into me and whispered back, It doesn't. It just means your lungs fight harder. Karen looked at them. 2 kids, different lives, same cruelty. And for the first time, she looked small. The next morning, Hollow Creek felt different. Awake. By 9 a.m., 27 residents had filed complaints with the city attorney. By noon, the HOA board, minus Karen, held an emergency meeting. By 2, she was removed as president, voting rights suspended, a full audit ordered. But the reckoning wasn't paperwork. It was sidewalks. Neighbors shared stories like survivors. Mrs. Langston hosted a no more zip ties potluck, her lemonade now symbolic. Even the off-duty officer came forward. He admitted pressure, promised hours that didn't exist. He faced review, but neighbors testified he'd looked uncomfortable the entire time. That evening, as I wrapped ice around Mia's wrists, Jason appeared at our gate alone. Dad's getting a custody hearing, he said quietly. CPS says I can stay with him. He paused. Thanks for not letting her get away with it. Mia stepped forward. You didn't let her either. He handed her a clean-cut zip tie, in case you ever need proof. She hugged him. Later, Elena and I sat on the porch. She'll fight, she said. Claim bias. She can try, I said. The neighborhood kept receipts. My phone buzzed. Hollow Creek Residents Alliance. Subject, new bylaws. No detentions. No armed enforcement. No Karen. 3 weeks later, Karen stood in courtroom 4B in that same red blouse. Charges: unlawful detention, reckless endangerment, impersonation. Civil suit filed by us. Jason testified privately. Audio played. Silence followed. Mia testified calmly. I wasn't on her lawn, just a sidewalk. The judge leaned forward. Do you truly believe a 14-year-old riding home is a threat? Karen had no answer. 6 months later, a new sign went up. Welcome to Hollow Creek. Respect lives here. Karen sold fast. Wildflowers replace grass. Jason thrives. Mia runs races. And sometimes, Elena and I sit on the porch watching fireflies over dandelions. Funny, I say, this started over a bike tire. She smiles. No, it started when someone thought they owned dignity. Mia and Jason ride past, laughing. Sidewalk wide enough for everyone. And that's the kind of neighborhood worth keeping.